Welcome to our video lesson on interpreting or reading or getting information from box plots. Yesterday you watched a video or previously watched a video on how to make a box plot. Well, now we're going to look at box plots and figure out what information we can learn by looking at them. The first thing when you look at a box plot is you should remember our 5-number summary. It's really quick and easy to see 5 points of data on this graph. So our graph here is showing us the daily high temperatures in degrees Celsius. So this might have been a month or a year or a week, we don't know, but we do know that it's the highest temperature for that day in this region. The first thing you should look at your box plot is where your median is located. So our median, remember it's the middle dot, so this right here is our median. And that means our median temperature is, so this is 32 and this is 36, so this must be 34. So our median temperature is 34 degrees Celsius. The next thing we can look at, and can tell actually quite quickly from a box plot, is the range. First we'll find the minimum and the maximum, and we can use that to find the range. So our minimum is down here, and it's underneath 24. So 2 underneath 24 would be 22 degrees Celsius. All right, the next one we need is the maximum. And 2 above 36 would be 38, so our maximum is 38 degrees Celsius. Now, as I said before, we want to find the range of our data to see how spread out it is and see how much just how spread out our data is, what the difference between the highest and the lowest temperatures would be. So we take the maximum, which would be 38, and we're going to subtract 22. You can do it over here on the side. 38 minus 22. 8 minus 2 is 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. So our range would be 16 degrees Celsius. And that means the difference between the highest daily temperature and the lowest daily temperature is 16 degrees Celsius. Other things we can tell from our data. What's really interesting about this graph, if we look at it, I'll erase stuff, you can see that our median is located way up here. And if we're looking at that as the middle of our data, what that shows us is that 50% of our data, remember, is below the median. And the other 50% is above the median. You can tell from this graph that there was a lot of daily high temperatures that were between 34 and 38 degrees Celsius because 50% of our data points are all up here. And they're so close together, they're between 34 degrees Celsius and 38 degrees Celsius. Whereas the other 50% of our data is below 34 degrees Celsius, so it's from 22 degrees Celsius all the way up to 34 degrees Celsius. So what that means is most of our data is, or half of our data is really close together up here, and then the other half is very spread out down here, which is interesting to think about. All right, let's look at another box plot. This graph, we actually have 2 box plots on it. It says a regional manager of a supermarket chain compared the amount spent by customers enrolled in the frequent shopper program at 2 different stores. These box and whisker plots show the results. Okay, let's look at them. We have 2 different stores, one in Cedarburg and one in Oakland. We can see the weekly spending in dollars down here, and then we have our 2 graphs. The first graph is for Cedarburg, and the second graph is for Oakland. First thing we should look at is always our median. All right, what can we tell from our median right away? Hopefully you can see that in our median, Oakland spent $100 a week. Let's put an O, $100 a week. Whereas in Cedarburg, I'll put a C, they only spent $80 a week, so they spent less. Another thing you can see, the minimum amount that was spent in Oakland was actually the same as the median amount spent in Cedarburg. So what's very interesting is that Oakland, more money is spent every week. You could also find the range or a whole bunch of other information using the graph, but hopefully this shows you how you can kind of compare 2 different situations using a box and whiskers plot. Okay, that's all for now. I'll talk to you later.